announce that.
I was like, what'd you call it?
Here we What? Serafina and I were at a entrepreneurial book club where Stephanie never read the right book. And
Stephanie was terrible at this book club.
I really sucked at book club.
I did
Fabulous. What?
I just had a visual. I just had a
It was a
visual.
lot.
I had a visual.
Proud of it.
Hold on, let me turn it on.
Look at us.
Woo woo.
We have assembled. Yes, this is not Hank at my table this morning, everyone. Hello.
Sorry, Hank.
He gave special dispensation for this crew here, this motley crew that has assembled
We
for
have
the morning
huge
show.
appreciation for Hank doing that for us.
I am so pumped to have Mary O'Keefe and also Jenny Wheeler at my table this morning. Both are leaving for Africa tomorrow.
Woo woo. We are.
All right, so let's start at the beginning, or as wherever we're going to jump into this journey. My
It'll
favorite
always be
word.
A prequel. We talked about it last night.
Yes, we're gonna have to go back and do the journey to Africa.
Yeah, seriously. So I get this crazy call and it's like, okay, so this is what we're doing. And we would love you to be a part of it. And I said, absolutely. If it's crazy, it's for me.
Well, why did I call you to begin with? Because I already knew that.
100%. So talk to everybody and tell everybody what it is that we're going tomorrow.
Well,
Tomorrow.
I'm gonna let Mary start because
Sure.
then I'm gonna tell the story of how I literally roped
Yes,
Mary into this.
Exactly. So back in October, but I'll let Jenny take care of that. But tomorrow we leave for Amsterdam. And we chose Amsterdam because neither of us had been there before. And it also breaks up the journey in going then to Kenya. So Amsterdam and Kenya and Tanzania for 11 days, back to Kenya, then to Rwanda, back to Kenya, and then off to London, and then back home again. And trying to fit a month's worth of things into the suitcase with limitations has been a challenge.
That could have been a video
Yes,
unto
yes.
itself.
So a whole month of exploring. Yes. That's the down and dirty of the itinerary.
Good morning, Midday Madness. Good morning, Lisa and Ron, Chinwe, and Kunli. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name, but I'm really excited to just talk to these ladies this morning about Africa and their vacation, which is not a vacation. You guys are going to be working your tails off.
Absolutely. Exactly. My list gets longer and longer and longer. That's okay. I'm up to the task.
I am so lucky that she is coming
Ah.
for so many reasons. So many reasons. But let me just tell you. So we are, as far as the overarching, we are going to explore and have all the fun.
Mhm.
We are also going to be meeting with World Food at the United Nations in Nairobi.
Because it wouldn't be a Jenny Wheeler project if there was not food involved or
Well,
talking about it. And
we have to work to create sustainable change.
Thank
We are
you.
not on the right side of this issue in this country. And I think we have a lot to learn. And I think that that's part of my ideal situation is bringing back, looking at best practices and looking at all the things that happen around the world and seeing, how can we get back to more real food? The United States makes up about 5% of the global population and creates almost 25% of the world food waste. So we
wrap your brain around that.
We have some work to do. And so, creating sustainable change is a core of what I do with the Family Table Collaborative, and it's what I believe in. And so that's a big part of my goal. But in addition to that, we are going to be traveling and filming some cooking shows. And then we're also going to be photographing for my passion project, my Fill My Cup project, which is cooking with grandmothers around the world. So we're going to go find BBs in Africa to cook with and to learn from and to be in awe of. So there's going to be lots of fun segments. And I guarantee there's going to be a lot of things that we just aren't even expecting that come
That's true.
up.
That's true.
You think?
Yeah. And we're open to that. I think Mary and I are both totally open to that.
You know, we're flexible.
These two are comedy in and of themselves to watch in a kitchen. If you've ever been to the Family Table Collaborative, you will most likely find Jeni and you'll see Mary there. Mary is constantly volunteering. She bops in pretty much anyway. What's going to happen? You're going to be missing our board meetings, Mary, over at the Boys and Girls Club.
I know. And I probably won't phone in. I think Ruth will give me a dispensation.
I'll cover it. God.
Thank you.
But you have to really understand. So Mary started volunteering with the collaborative a year ago. And, you know, until you get to know Mary, she's like quiet and not, you know, you wouldn't necessarily know
she's a sleeper.
What you don't know.
Sneaky sleeper.
And, you know, last year, J.R. Mel, who is a friend of mine and the executive director of the Big Brother, Big Sister program, were nominated for like Hometown Heroes.
Mm-hmm.
And we both ended up being interviewed on the same day. And I walk in and JR says to me, hey, one of my board members is volunteering for you now. And I was like, no way. And he's like, Mary, not for nothing. Mary's a fairly common name.
Right.
We have a lot of volunteers. I was
600 plus volunteers.
I was like, Mary. And he started describing, I was like, oh, Mary. Yeah. He's like, do you know that she drag races cars on a NASCAR circuit? I was like, what?
She's wild.
I was like, Mary? No. Are we talking about he's like, Mary. And he launches into this entire story, has me completely captivated. And I was like, I need to go find out more things.
Seriously.
I need to find out things.
Well, Mary has lived a storied life herself of all of her adventures, but she's just quiet about it. And she's sitting there collecting it in her notebook.
Yeah.
Just so
totally.
I have all the details.
My memoirs to come out next year.
Absolutely.
World award-winning chocolate maker with camel milk, people. Seriously, that's a thing.
Couldn't even make it up.
Nope, that's a thing. So these are all things, these tidbits, these little nuggets of gold that I have learned over the past several months. And all of a sudden, I was planning, and actually, let me bring Megan Murphy into this because it's her fault.
Thank you, Megan.
Let's just lay down the blame where it belongs. This is Megan's fault. So I met Megan. I had, really been working to kind of grow and work on some things within myself. And I loved Megan's energy. Her daughter says that she and I operate on a similar wavelength. And I told her, I was like, I don't know if she meant that as a compliment.
And also here, a little over here.
All over. Yes. Yeah. A little frenetic sometimes, but all positive. Right. And so literally I was just like, I got to do this. I'm going on this trip with them to Africa. And that was how it began. So that began in the middle of what became the middle. And then my brain started working and I was like, well, I'd like to do this and build off of this. And I had no real plans and I didn't plan on necessarily going with anybody. And all of a sudden I'm in the kitchen behind the line cooking and Mary came in and I was like, oh my God.
You want to go?
I was like, I think this is a good idea.
Mary, you've drag raced. You're going to come to Africa and cook
she can attest to this. So I bent my head between the shelves on our line. And I was like, hey, Mary. She's like, yeah. I was like, want to go to Africa? She's like, yes. I was like, sweet. And we were off to the races.
Like any good idea.
That was the start of it.
But that's usually where great ideas start is in the kitchen. We've got some of our home chefs, Lynn Brenderson checking in with us. She's a fabulous home chef.
Morning, Lynn.
Junior in the kitchen. Thank you very much for joining us. Jamie, Nate, Mary, Susan, Ashley, Emily. Thank you so much. And Mari. Hi, Mari said it.
Mari.
Thank you so much for making room today. She now has to deal with Hank at home.
We're sorry, Mari.
We'll
make it up to you later.
They're leaving for Africa tomorrow, and we had to check and make sure because I'm so blessed to be able to wrangle these two fabulous cats into doing a podcast
squeezing us in
and gathering all of their stuff and putting it out to you. So basically, Lemonadio is going to be the middleman and sending you a way to keep up with where they are, what they're doing, how they're feeling, what their mode is, whether it's they're exhausted from travel or whether they're thirsty because they're in a desert or whether they're playing with gorillas or cooking at the UN or finding grandmas on the side of the road. I'm very excited to be able to follow this and put it all together in a bite-sized nugget for you to ingest every single day.
Thank you.
Well, we're so excited to invite everyone along because, this is really the beginning in a way of, we're launching the podcast while we're away, A Journey of Joy. We're launching the YouTube channel with all the cooking shows I've done in the past several years. We're launching, the platform for the educational components of the Family Table Collaborative. So there's so much going on.
It's
and
wild.
We're excited to invite people along for the ride. Though I have to tell you, so I have fondly started referring to Mary. People go, so are you ready? And I was like, well, I have Mary. So are you packed? Well, I have Mary. Do you know what? I was like, Mary. So Mary has become not only the tech department, she's also my adult nanny.
Truth.
I was thinking like backpack, but I like adult nanny much
Adult
better.
nanny. Somebody said to me the other day, oh my God, that's better than a husband. I was like, are you kidding?
Oh, it's 100% better than a husband.
Literally. I'm like,
And I have one of those.
and we like him because he's also part of the tech department.
Yes, exactly. Stateside tech.
Keep him. We can't lose him.
Right?
However, for me, people say, how did you put all this together? Let me be super clear. If I had to put all of this together, none of this would be happening. Mary has coordinated so much of our entire world. Gabby Ituarte, who is partners with Megan Murphy, literally in the trips to Africa. It's just, there's so many people. And I talk about this at the Family Table Collaborative all the time. There is no I in team.
Absolutely.
Nothing happens in a bubble here. And I'm just so excited that I got to drag her along on this crazy journey. Because it's just, I think that both of us realize we don't quite know. And it's funny. So we're going to talk about this. Stephanie doesn't like the word journey. She does not. And so every time we've talked about a title, every time we're like, Stephanie doesn't like journey. And we keep Mary opens a thesaurus. We try to
I love that you worked hard for not using the word. I'm glad.
We did. But things like Quest, we're not in a video game.
I feel like I'm watching The Legend of Zelda over here.
Yeah.
And this is the deal. You have to be present. That was super important. And it is not a destination. We're not going a specific place to achieve a specific thing. We're open to let whatever happens happen.
Emily says, I can't wait to hear all about it. Living through you ladies on this trip. Is there a place that we can see pictures that you take while there?
Yes.
We are going to be bringing it all to you on their YouTube channel. Safe travels, says Beth. So exciting. Sarah, Gloria, Lydia, thank you so much for joining us. Mary coming in clutch like Michael Jordan in the NBA Finals.
That's such a good example. Yes, 100% yes. So if any of you haven't seen Naiad, I'm just gonna go there. So as a swimmer, I swim at the national level. So this movie has completely captivated the world. But I swam for a coach that was kicked out of US swimming for a lot of the reasons that were talked about in that movie. And he was an Olympic coach. And there's a lot of there. I felt there was a lot of relevance to our own experiences dealt with, eating disorder, those types of, because when you're swimming at that level and when you're competing at any type of sport at that level, those are things you run into.
Yep.
So, but if you haven't seen that movie, you have to. Jodie Foster's been, nominated for an Academy Award. She is my Jodie Foster.
Oh. A small little aside about Naiad, the girl who wrote the screenplay, Julia, was actually one of our friend Ted Murphy's students in Falmouth growing up.
Really?
So this is like so joyful for him to watch this. He's like, are you at the awards?
Oh my goodness.
I know. So she got to go to all the Oscar parties and get like, it was just really cool to
Nice.
have a
Oh,
little kid
connection,
growing up
yeah.
in Falmouth
That's
taking Ted Murphy's
amazing.
writing classes, who wrote the
Wow.
screenplay for that.
And I didn't even know that when I talked about Naya.
Yeah,
Wow.
right.
That's amazing.
It's just really cute, fun little Cape connections. And I feel like we always get that. So I love that you're
Sure.
throwing a tentacle to Africa
Yeah.
to have another little Cape connection here.
I need to go find the BBs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
The BBs in Africa. So I grew up cooking with my grandmother, and I feel like, you know, the reason this is like such a passion project for me is I feel like grandmothers represent so much of what we need more of in the world.
Mhm.
Right.
You know, the thoughts around what grandmothers represent, and having grown up cooking with my grandmother,
Same.
and you know, she was such an enormous influence in my world, that for me, like, that's what I wanted to go find. I want to go find grandmothers around the world. And we've joked that I'm going to be standing on street corners being like, are you a grandmother? Do you cook? Will you cook with me? Are you a grandmother?
We joked
Are
about
you a
it,
BB?
but it's actually
Hold
going to
on a
happen.
family table spoon.
Have you packed the spoons?
I'll give you an FTC apron.
Good morning, Lauren. Yeah, so they tried to avoid the word journey completely for me, and I really appreciate it. But if anyone were to actually utilize the word properly, it's you. Because when I hear it, it's always like on a TikToker, they're like, I'm gonna go on this self journey. And I'm like, oh God, please, I can't. You guys are actually going somewhere.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
I'll allow it.
It's both, but thank you. We've been given a dispensation.
Yeah. It's allowed.
Now all three of us have used that word. But truly, it's one of those things where, you know, being present is so important. And, you know, I feel like I kind of fought through a lot of stuff to not only survive, but thrive.
Mhm.
And so getting to where we are now, it's like people have started to, you know, I feel like people are like, oh, you've arrived. And I was like, I've arrived where?
Where?
Yeah.
Where have I
It's
arrived?
just one stop on the train. You know?
Yeah. And there's just there's so much more to do, both within Family Table Collaborative, you know, the amazing things that we're accomplishing there really, to me, has always been a pilot program for how we can change how we see and work with food, and reducing waste and increasing sustainability and all of those things. And so to me, this is just one more step along that journey.
Yes,
exactly.
Well, but it's both a personal and professional, and it's both physical and metaphorical.
I
right?
love that you're doing this really on your own with your adult caregiver, Mary. But
So I'm not alone.
Right. But there is something
Partners
to be
in crime.
said.
And Partners in Crime is a good
Yeah,
one.
I like that one. There is something to be said where you kind of threw yourself into the Family Table Collaborative after a bad space, where you went to your family, you went home to your family with this group of people that you threw yourself into.
I created a family.
Correct.
Yes.
I created
And that's
a
what it
family.
feels like. It really does feel like
Yeah.
family.
So now that
For
you're
sure.
going out finding more people to
Mhm.
add to your family, it
Yeah.
makes, but it's weird for you to be alone in this space, and you're kind of doing this alone, like you're branching your own self and your own brand and your own thing, which is really difficult after surrounding yourself with family in a safe space, in a safe environment, to be able to separate yourself. And now I have to foster self. And that's a scary space.
You know what's interesting about that is that's true. And this is where Megan Murphy gets all the blame. This is where I'm so proud of what we've built with the collaborative, and so proud of what it does, and so excited for all the things it can continue to do. But all of a sudden, I fought so hard to get through what I went through that I started to feel like my name was associated with FTC solely. And all of a sudden I was like, who's just Jeni? Like, who is that? Who's that girl? And that probably
La,
sounds a
la,
little weird.
la,
It feels a little
la.
weird, but it's like, but that was where I was in my head, was like, I feel like I need to kind of figure out who Just Jeni is. And that is not in any way, shape, or form. I say this all the time. I love what I do so much. I'm so passionate. And everybody should get to love what they do like I love what I do.
Right.
Like you love what you
Yeah.
do, you know. And so when you're in that space, a lot of times it's also a safe place, right?
Mhm.
Because it's easy to sit there and not make yourself uncomfortable at all. And that was the realization after I kind of met Megan, was that the last time I was made really uncomfortable was because of trauma.
Mhm.
And it was not of my own choice. And it was horrific and hard and all the things, but also is part of how I got where I am today. And had I not gone through what I went through, I don't know that I would have ever started the Family Table Collaborative with Harry Henry, one of my favorite humans on the face of the planet. But I don't know that I would have done that. But what I found was all of a sudden, not that everything was perfect and that it's exactly where I wanted to be and all the things, but I felt like I got a little comfortable.
Yeah.
And so this time, turning 50 this summer was very empowering. And I felt like, you know what? It's time for me to make myself a little uncomfortable in all the good, positive
Yeah.
ways, because
It's different.
It means growth.
Yeah.
And it's me choosing to make myself a little uncomfortable. And that's really where it's at. It's
Jamie
like
Carter said Jenny's really great at taking chances on herself with lots of hearts, which is good. I mean, you have to. I feel like a lot of people, and I feel like I want this to be impactful for girls out there, for other chefs out there, for people that are just kind of there in the regularness of your life sometimes, and you're like, what am I doing? Where am I going? What am I doing? To bet on yourself. And to maybe take that class, or to maybe change your station, or to maybe grow in your space where you are. I think everybody gets complacent. And I think it's just a good reminder to step out of the box, whatever. Maybe you're celebrating your 50th. Maybe something is changing for you. The shift in energy is there.
And
to
whatever
take that
the
step.
impetus is,
Yeah.
whatever it is,
Yeah.
just say yes.
Mm.
Like just lean in.
Yep,
and
empower
just-
yourself to do
yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Take
Love
you know,
yourself enough to want to do that for yourself.
Correct. And it's funny because my best friend of 35 years, total badass in her own right, like amazing human, surgeon, tumor specialist, amazing. But she got really upset with me a couple years ago when I was talking about what I had gone through, and I just gave credit to everyone else. And she was
because no one likes to point the sunlight at themselves sometimes.
True.
It's awkward.
Well, she was so upset with me, and she's like, Jenny, you saved you. Like, you know, yes, people showed up, but you took advantage of opportunity.
Mhm.
And that word was interesting to me because really this is where I think the journey piece was critical, because you have to show up in
Right.
your own life. You can have support, but if you don't show up in your own life, if you don't take some of those chances, if you don't go make chocolate with camel milk or jump in a
wanna know how that
NASCAR drag
happened.
race car.
However that happened.
Like, right? Like if you don't, but like, I mean, that's why I'm in awe of this woman. Like, and it's one of those things where I've chosen to surround myself with people that bring sunlight, right? People, the women sitting to my right and left right now are people that bring me joy. So the thing is, that's what, for me, I'm just like, no, I'm going to continue down this. And if I feel a little too comfortable, then I'm not pushing myself hard enough.
Right. Good morning, Lenore. Nathan said, since betting on myself this year, I've really started to thrive and becoming a better version of myself every single day. And I love that you're recognizing that in this. Good morning, Danielle, Lydia. Jenny is amazing. We know. And we're singing it from the rooftops all the way to Africa.
Again, only with like an adult nanny.
But I love the growth of even
My fee
this
is reasonable, you know.
over the last 2 months of trying to track her down, track Mary down, go over sound, making sure that we've got a plan, making sure we've got the follow through. But we've all, the three of us, made an effort and a point to, we're going to do this.
Absolutely.
We're going to catalog this. We're going to put it together properly. but I feel like your entire trip has become this way big thing.
Very much so.
Where
Oh,
it
without a doubt.
started and where you are now. I can't imagine what it's going to be like when you finish and the people that you collect.
That's a good way to put it.
Right. And lucky for Jenny, I have a lot of tech background, so
Tech support.
Mary's like, hello. Mary's room service. I'm working on it. I don't know why this battery's not charging.
She's got lavalier mics, lights.
Oh my God,
she's the cameras. Like literally, Mary's like, okay,
we're gonna do it right, and that's important.
We'll talk about some of the small challenges just packing for this trip has been, and some of the no-nos. The plastic.
Oh,
yes.
The planning. So maybe you don't know this about what's going on and what they have to plan for, but there's a lot of things that they cannot bring with them.
Right.
There's a lot of things we can't bring with us. There's things that you have to do in order to travel. We had to get
How are your shots?
Vaccinations,
oh, yes.
all the vaccinations. Yep. And just in case you didn't know, the only travel doctor on Cape Cod is in Falmouth.
Yes.
So here you go.
Welcome to my land.
And he has a really nice niche business.
Yes, he really does.
Operates in cash. It's like really amazing. So you cannot not go to him.
Right.
Because you need all these vaccinations.
You have to go over the bridge. So,
yeah. Yes, you would have to go over the bridge. But really what it is like, it's one of those things where we had no idea. And, it's so interesting when you start researching for a project. And I'm that person that like wants to dive in, and I don't actually want to know too much because I want to be able to be surprised and to learn. And I really enjoy that. I am not the person that has to I dot I's and cross T's when it comes to like legal things and all that stuff. But when it comes to the experiential part, I'm like, I want to be in it. Mm-hmm. So but I started doing a little bit of research, and Kenya was one of the first countries to ban single-use plastics. So like, we're not even supposed to have like Ziploc bags in our luggage when we land in Africa.
Which is just like an everyday American thing to waste and throw away.
Absolutely. Oh my God. The amount that's like, so this is where that sustainability piece, not just with food, but all of a sudden we're seeing the environmental, and we're seeing, all the ways it impacts the water, which, hello, we live on Cape Cod. So this is something that affects...
Our blue economy is very much part of our tourist attraction.
Sure. 100%. So all of these things started showing up that we weren't even really expecting. And then, because Mary is Mary, she's making spreadsheets. She's ordering things off Amazon. She's making bags. And
we love you, Mary.
Don't worry about it, Jenny.
I might not be alive without her. So literally, and then she might choose to feed me to a lion. I don't know.
No.
Megan's checking in. That might happen. Can you make sure that doesn't happen? Make sure no one gets eaten by lions, please and thank you.
Yes.
Megan, you're just tuning in. I laid all of the blame of all of this at your feet. Welcome. We can't wait. But no, there's so much to learn from other countries, and there's so much about culture. And it kind of goes back to, for me, the grandmothers. It's like grandmothers represent tradition. They represent family. They represent food. For me, feeding people real, like it's
basic human need.
Basic human need. Like that's where that comfort comes from. Building longer tables, bringing people, like food is a convener. To
Sunday dinner. My Nana had Sunday dinner every single Sunday, and you were expected to be there, and you better have a damn good excuse why you were not at that table. And it didn't even matter. And it didn't matter how old you got. And then all of your children were demanded to come. Didn't matter. Then the kids were at the kids' table. I was at the kids' table till I was 16. It didn't matter because my family was so huge. But that's what you were expected to do. And we cooked together. And it was that whole family. And when that happened, when she passed, it went away.
Yes.
And it was broken for our family.
Well, and you see that. So there, again, the differences in different cultures. In the United States, you watched that, like the ending of that, being a positive, instead of it being viewed as a positive to have that multi-generational, family house and stuff like that. It was almost transitioned to where, oh, you're doing better than the last generation because you're going out and you're doing all the things. And yet it's still very common in a lot of the world to see those multi-generational, really, that you kind of have elders still and what that brings to the table.
Mhm.
And you're seeing it come back a little bit in the United States, not because it's revered, but out of necessity with
Correct.
cost structures.
Sure.
But there's all of this research that shows how much is gained when you put children with elders, when like the interaction, whether they're related or not.
Yeah.
Again, family can be a lot more than blood related.
Right.
Yes,
And,
of course.
Mary talked about the way that the Family Table Collaborative works. I think part of its success.
I loved coming in there and we did a mic check thing and I'm like, soup. I got to feed Harry first. I'm like, hi, Harry. And we're all just sitting there having a bowl of whatever that fabulous soup,
Show.
which I'm now obsessed with. And then it popped up on the food channel. I was like, I've had that. I tasted that. Jenny made that for me. And we're all
fabulous.
We're all sitting there having a bowl of soup and it was just like, we're all in our own space, but it was just so nice to have that communal meal.
Yes. Yep.
Which I work by myself a lot. And it was just really nice to be working around a bunch of people having a bowl of soup. It made my day.
Soup was the cornerstone of Jenny's joy. It was like soup is like comfort food for the soul. Like it really
Totally.
is. There's a reason why those books existed. Chicken Soup for the Soul back in the day.
Didn't you just have like a soup off at Cape Cod Beer?
Yeah.
The Super Bowl.
The
Super Bowl.
The Super Bowl at Cape Cod Beer.
Yes.
And there's another one. There's another Super Bowl coming up this Saturday at Katuitt Center for the Arts. They're doing it as a fundraiser for the Family Table Collaborative. And this is the cool part though. So people call and say like, oh, can we like do, food drives for you? And, I say like, we're not a pantry. We're really an amplifier. We focus on prepared, nutritious meals. And they're like, oh, well, how can we help support you? And I say, do a spice drive. Because I talk a lot about like, what is food without spice? And we live in a country that has such a heavy reliance on salt. And that comes with such negative health impacts, particularly as we age. And so I'm like, no, give me spices, because we're launching in the next couple of months, we're launching a program that's going to create spice packets with recipes from food that you can traditionally get either at the pantries or kind of, with that dollar sign in mind when you're shopping to feed a family.
Because sometimes it's not cheap and you can't just get a pinch of this or
no, we don't have spice markets in this country.
Yeah.
So the thing is that really, and actually that's not, there are some level, like when I go to Miami or when Sheila lived in Miami and I would go down and visit her, there are places that you can get aspects, but you still can't get like a pinch of something. You could actually see the spices, which is lovely and amazing. And, you get to be in awe of the color and the smell and all that stuff, but you still can't get just a little bit. So spice packets with recipes. And again, that's to help people help themselves, right? Like, let's convince them that they do like good food, real food, not just the 5-year-old American white food diet. And that has led to us being the unhealthiest country in the world.
So bad.
However, but let's do that. But then let's also help people help themselves.
Megan also said, and your volunteer opportunities is combating loneliness, which is so important, as well as building community, which it really does. It really does.
I'm going to let Mary speak to
that. It was interesting as Jeni had mentioned, rather on the quiet side. That's why I'm usually behind the camera and not in front of the camera. But starting out at Family Table, really just the opportunity to do anything. And that's what I love about it too, that you don't have to have knife skills. You can push a vacuum around, if you can write labels, there's so many opportunities and such a wide variety of hours. You can fit something into your schedule. And if you can't make it, let us know, or, and we look at it a month ahead of time, but continuing to work with the same people, we all really connected. We have a lot of fun. We laugh. We get a lot of work done. There's a lot of steps involved. The other day I was there last week and I did 11,000 steps for the day because it was up and down and up and down. So in a sense, it's like a gym.
It's a good little workout.
Yes, it's a good workout. And I've really made.
Don't go to the gym. Just come volunteer for the Family Table Collaborative.
Exactly.
Way more fun.
And the fact that we've pushed out over 140,000 meals since it was founded during the pandemic.
Wrap your brain around that on Cape Cod.
Just amazing. And there's so much more ahead as we continue to expand and make good food attainable and accessible to people. It's such a passion. it's really phenomenal. And
I,
the
I
people
think
go
people are
along with it.
amazed. Like people genuinely are amazed when they come. First of all, the thing we hear all the time is like they feel like they've really done something.
Mm.
And because no one comes to the Family Table Collaborative and eats bonbons.
No,
That ain't happening.
I don't think we even have bonbons.
Well, you know
oh, there's a hidden stash somewhere.
yeah, I was gonna say somebody might have a hidden stash. You know, I do stock the things that keep our people happy. Like, you know, I'm not beyond bribery completely.
Well, maybe talk about how like you're sourcing your food at this point. I mean, they're really it's donations. It's donations from Fishers, the Fisherman Alliance. Fishers.
Those Fisher cats, they're amazing.
Scooping it up. Come on, get to work, animals.
But yeah, we have, I mean, it's amazing. You know, I say all the time that the collaborative is by the community for the community.
Yeah.
Yes,
That
for
really is the epitome of what it is that there is the need is so substantial. And it's not just here, but we're super lucky on Cape Cod because we have so many resources. We have farms, we have aquaculture, we have the blue economy, and we have such an amazing community of people willing to step up and help each other.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really what, to me, the collaborative is. And it's become a family. I mean, there are aspects of the collaborative that I'm quite sure you could film reality TV shows in different rooms in our building and kill yourself
Sometimes
laughing.
not everybody needs to see it.
Instead of Big Brother, like the Big Brother house, which I've never watched that show, but like instead of like that, where the different rooms have those secret panels of recording,
the confessional.
I guarantee
If there's a grant out there to cover this, I will happily capture for all to watch
our team,
the show.
Our team that runs our basement, they handle all of our intake of the food, the turnover.
And you get good food. I saw midnight hour scallops. I saw tuna that you guys get from our fishermen that just donated. They're like, here you go. Here's a giant tuna.
Those fresh tunas are amazing.
What?
80 pounds of fresh tuna. When that rolls in, I'm like, there goes my
your partnerships.
There goes my Sunday.
Your partnerships with Whole Foods. I mean, you've got a lot of great partnerships with wonderful food that you're feeding people with. And it's not necessarily, this might be the only prepared meal that they have that's nutritious.
Right. We hear that all the time.
All week.
Yeah. And this is the thing is that, like, you know, this is this doesn't just affect those people. Like this affects 1 in 3 on Cape Cod.
Well, we've got a lot of people checking in from everywhere. Canada, Virginia, Florida, just to see off the top where people don't understand. They think of Cape Cod as the Kennedys. They think of Cape Cod as this space that is so opulent that we don't have this underbelly issue. They really do. And this is so false. And we have such an aged population with elderly incomes that are on a fixed income that they don't feed themselves or they can't feed themselves. And it's very sad.
Absolutely. And because of our heavy reliance on prepared food, this is the thing. If you want to create any type of change, you have to meet people where they're at. Because not for nothing, I can get up here and say, you should really eat better. And all the things going through your head, none of them are positive at me right now.
Right, right.
Seriously, you don't think people know that? But the reality is we have no reverence for time. We have no reverence, for sitting down and eating real meals anymore. So we have become heavily reliant on prepared food. Right. Often that prepared food is high in fat, salt, sugar, and or preservatives, or a combination of all of the above. Mm-hmm. And so the problem is that it really is our health depends on us creating this change. Mm-hmm. It isn't just like, food. The quality of food matters. Like not all food is created equally, and it matters because healthier people create healthier communities. And that's the dedication of the collaborative. And if you get to see the food that comes in, people are blown away. I'm like, look, when was the last time you bought a quart of strawberries and the one in the middle wasn't moldy?
Right. Honestly,
it's a given, right? Mm-hmm. So what do you do when you take it in? You take them out, you get rid of that one, you move on with your day and keep going. Well, commercially, if that happens, all of that now comes to us. And instead of being thrown away, and this is a really important point. So a lot of the food, like the Whole Foods still donates to the pantries.
Right.
It's not, we take a lot of food that can't be given to other places because most
The
places
perishable
can't
foods, yeah.
take in the perishables,
Yeah.
the produce.
And since you're making all these prepared meals, you can get it done today. And here you go. Here's a
Yeah,
nice
Correct,
prepared
but it
meal.
requires a lot of people. It requires a lot of refrigeration, and it
Mhm.
requires a lot of kind of ingenuity because we never know what's coming in.
Right.
And so you're taking it in and being like, what can I create with this?
You know, the Top Chef box challenge, like that's
Yes,
there every
it is.
day. That is there
Absolutely.
every day.
Without a doubt.
This is what we got. What are we making?
Right.
And by the way, again, it gets done by people like this is not
Megan, mic
about
drop.
one. Yeah. This is not like Mary just went and got her Serve Safe certification that is not just the Serve Safe. She got the Serve Safe manager.
Okay.
And you're required to have a Serve Safe manager on site at all times because of making sure people are safe in food and preparation, all that stuff. Mary went and got that so she could be one of those people for us. And it's amazing the amount of people that have like stepped up and
see, she's being your adult caregiver right there.
She
so
is. I'm telling you.
everybody's.
Right? Yeah.
Everyone needs an adult nanny. Note to self. Life goals.
Add that
Adult
to my
nannies.
business card. The chocolate maker, adult nanny.
Be like Mary.
Right.
I'm gonna make
Be
t-shirts.
like Mary. for Jenny, please be like Mary.
Yeah. See, even Megan says, pay attention, Food Network Kitchen, all of those. These are the girls right here. This is the place, the Family Table Collaborative. Watch it.
We truly, and this is the thing though, when you lead with joy, and people talk about that at the collaborative, it is about the culture that's been created. So it's about the sustainable change. It's about doing it for all the right reasons. But nobody's gonna show up if it's not fun.
Right. Yep,
Nobody
Lisa
is-
Bates is on here saying all of your food is
Lisa!
delicious. My husband went to clam chowder heaven, and she is 100%. No, if it's not built, no one's coming.
100%. As a matter of fact, she shut her facility down. Lisa Bates, the executive director of the Cape Cod Children's Museum. If you haven't been there, please go.
I'm so excited for your Hui exhibit.
Oh,
It's
the
coming.
Hui exhibit's amazing. And we held an event there just a couple weeks ago. First ever adult event at the Cape Cod Children's
Amazing.
Museum. I mean, we served cocktails off the front of a pirate ship. So I mean, how is that?
Love
not
that
fun?
pirate ship.
It's amazing. But she shut her facility down, and this is where sometimes we need to do a little bit of renovation, whether it's external or internal. Sometimes we need to like shut it down for a minute so that we can reemerge. Now, she only took a week to
I know.
That's fast.
I know. And I saw her a Sunday, and she was like, my back hurts, everything hurts, and I'm dying.
Well, you know,
But
what,
it got done.
Again, that's a perfect example. Mary, we were talking about this yesterday. It's like people, so my friends refer to my online presence as Jazz Hands Jenny.
It's relatable to me.
And sometimes it's exhausting to me.
But we exhaust ourselves.
Correct. And so that concept of like the Just Jenny, of the taking the time to figure that out, of shutting it down. And Megan has been really good at coaching me through a little bit of that's okay. It's actually not only okay, it's necessary.
It feels selfish though.
It does.
Yes.
It's really weird. Like it feels weird. So that me coming around to like, hey, who's Just Jenny? What is that girl? You know, like what does she need? Like
So you need both of your own t-shirts, Just Jenny
Yes.
and What Would Mary Do?
Yes, I love that.
There-
Thank you, Lynn. What would WWD, what would Mary do?
Yeah.
I love that. Thank you.
Everyone needs,
All right, everybody, What Would Mary
and
Do?
me, it's everyone needs a Mary. Everyone needs a Mary.
But Lisa makes a good point. We exhaust ourselves because we love what we do. And
100%.
it's so true. We
It
really
is.
do.
It is.
And what to go further with that, you exhaust yourself. Not only are you making these prepared meals and saying, you're not just saying, come get them, you're delivering them to people, and you're delivering to people and meeting them where they are.
Well,
Exactly.
meeting people where they're at is critical. And by the way, this goes for ourselves as well. It goes right back to where we were. in order to create sustainable change, you have to be able to meet people where they're at. And right now with food, that's prepared food. Now we're meeting them with more nutritious, delicious prepared food, getting them to understand, hey, I actually feel better. I do like a wider variety of food than I'm aware of. And then you can get their buy-in and actually get them to help themselves with the educational components. But when it's you, meeting yourself where you're at, sometimes I think is a little harder because it's harder to self-identify that you actually need to do
I'm
that.
fine. Everything's fine.
Everything's fine.
Yep.
It's fine.
Exactly.
I'll be okay.
It's totally fine.
How many times have you uttered that this week?
It's fine. It's awesome. Amazing. Fine. I'm fine. I'm sleeping on a sliver of my bed that's this wide right now because it's totally covered with all the things Mary has bought to make me take and handed me. And
That's a different kind of
I
fine.
have the spreadsheets and all the things, and then I still call and ask her all the questions. However, I'm sleeping on this sliver of my bed because my bed, you can't see my bed right now. Everyone's like, "Are you packed?" I was like, "I've started."
We're working on it. I'm right on top of that.
Right on it. Mary, but I have Mary. It's fine.
It's my favorite line from Don't Tell Mom that the babysitter's dead. I'm right on top of that, Rose. No matter what, if anybody says or anybody asks, you're right on top of it, even if you're not. That's just the way we talk about it.
It's fine.
That external persona.
It's the same thing. So you've got your grab and go fridges at various places where people can go and get a healthy meal. Jenny's mantra, eat the rainbow. She puts as many vegetables and colored things just so people can eat more variety. And those cups of vegetables we actually are supposed to be ingesting. It's not really a suggestion. You should be actually getting those vitamins.
Well, you get different vitamins and different nutrients from different colored foods. And instead of like actually having that high level conversation about, okay, do you have carbohydrates and starch and protein and this and that? And all
Ain't nobody
the
got
things.
time for that.
Nobody has time. So if you say, hey, look down on your plates, you see at least, you really should see 4 colors, but at least 3 colors. It's one of those things that sits with you. And even subconsciously, you're like, shit, the whole plate's white.
Right.
Like, damn it. Got to do better.
It's
Okay,
a
let me go get a couple
reminder.
grapes or a carrot. Like, even if it plants that seed in the back of your mind, that's a simple thing. It's a simple thing to do with kids. But I always challenge the parents when I'm talking to the kids. I'm like, and if you think this is good for the kids, challenge yourself, put it on, and you do it for you. It's amazing how narrow, like, we get used to eating the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
I do want to, just reference, we launched the community refrigerator program this year, and it's been with the Hyannis Public Library. Tony Stevens is amazing. She is just a rock star, but she is the executive director of the Hyannis Public Library. And we're actually in the process of working to get them in 4 additional libraries. And we've got so many more, who have asked for us to look at this. But the community refrigerators allow people to have access where they can most easily get there. So kids, like teenagers, it can be at places like, the Boys and Girls Club and the Hyannis Youth Center, stuff like that. It's about getting it into the hands of people who need it. And by need it, I mean anybody that needs good
Are you
food.
hungry? Do you need a nutritious meal? That's
the
what
only
she
thing
means
you've
by needing it.
It's the only thing you've eaten Fritos.
Right.
Like,
And there's no prerequisites. There's no pre-qualification. It's
That's-
for anyone and everyone.
That's what
We
I
don't
really
ask
feel
those
like
questions.
it's important
It's
because
just
you
take
take
it
that
and receive it.
barrier.
well, because why you need something changes. Like, again,
It's not the same for everyone.
It's not the same for everyone, and it's not the same for you every day. I mean, you could be taking care of a sick child, a sick spouse, a sick parent. I mean, the amount of nurses I watched during the pandemic having like mental health crises over the fear of taking home COVID to their family and not being able to see their family and like not being able to cook or feel like they're taken care of. There's 1,000,001 reasons why somebody might need a good meal. And here's the deal. I don't care what the reason is. I mean, I care because I care about the individual, but I don't care what the reason is.
You don't need to mark it on a
It doesn't need
chart
to be
saying
reason.
it's because of X,
No,
Y,
no.
and Z.
That's
That's
nothing's being tracked. It's just
nothing good happens when you don't take care of yourself.
Mhm.
And this is a life lesson for all of us, right? And it goes back to where like the reality of self-care versus like, self-care.
I'm fine.
I'm fine. sometimes you need somebody else to be like, hey, Stephanie, you look like you need a bowl of soup.
Thank you. And I did.
Anytime.
And I was so happy for it, but I really did. I forget to
Yeah,
eat sometimes.
yeah.
I get busy. It's just part of what I do. I sit a lot. It's not good. Like if I can have somebody to remind me that there is a nice, nutritious meal upstairs, I would go eat it.
And let me be clear, the only reason I eat well most of the time is because Kelly runs my kitchen. And Kelly is like the person that is like, Jenny, you need to eat this because I made it and you're going to enjoy it.
And I know we've got listeners from absolutely everywhere. Good morning, Dawn on the West Coast. Thank you for joining us very early o'clock there.
Oh my goodness.
But it's just a reminder that if you're here on the Cape, and whether it's because you've run out of money this week, or maybe you didn't have or budget enough, or maybe the kids need something nutritious and you can't afford a fridge full of vegetables, whatever your reason is, it doesn't matter. Just come get a healthy prepared meal.
Right. And if you're somewhere else, I mean, part of the reason we're launching the YouTube channel and the, the educational component of the collaborative is we're here to help you wherever you are. And, it is not real that cooking or eating well has to be that hard, has to be that expensive, has to be that time consuming. Are there things that can make it that? Of course. But we're here to give you a little bit more of the real deal. And let's shortcut some things. Let's make this easier on all of us. And we're going to feel better for it.
Megan wants to know how much money it costs to deploy a refrigerator.
So we go after basically the refrigerators themselves are give or take about $2,000. And ideally we'd rather and again, this is about listening to where it's going, right? Like the way you actually help is to listen. It's not, oh, I think I can help you by doing X, Y, and Z. It's to listen to the community, figure out what the actual need is. So for a lot of communities, I would rather put a refrigerator and a freezer, commercial grade refrigerator and a freezer side by side, so that you can take something home that you can do. We did grab and go mostly in Hyannis because they interface with the green, like they're on the green and they interface a lot with the homeless population. So we actually completely do food that we don't do traditionally in the Family Table Collaborative because
doesn't need to be heated. It's sandwiches, salads,
yogurt,
hard-boiled eggs,
hard-boiled eggs every time. Fruit cups,
protein, vegetables.
So we do those things that are meant to be, grab and go because of the population they serve most. But other areas that might not be the case. And so the fridges and freezers go around $1,500 to $2,000 a piece. And then we like to see, we usually go after a grant that gives at least $3,000 to $5,000 to kick off all of the food.
And then, servicing it has to be swapped out. Things need to be taken out of there.
Well, and let's be clear, this is why this is a real true community partnership. And the reason Tony at the Hyannis Public Library, we piloted this is because we knew we were going to have to grow through, right? Go through and grow through some, learning curves. And the library is a major actual community partner. They went and got 4 different people serve safe, food serve safe manager. I mean, not the manager level, but just food served.
Yeah.
Food server.
Blah, blah, blah.
We get it.
Woo! Maybe I should drink more coffee.
I don't think that's the solution.
I don't know. I feel like I should have an IV.
But I mean, I would love to have something like that in the teen center that we're building at the Boys and Girls Club. It might be awesome to have just nice prepared meals.
Absolutely.
Just because I know for a fact they don't eat well.
100%. Well, and also let's be clear, there's also stigma related, right? And, we talked a lot about not being able to get out of our own way sometimes is just within ourselves. And we have resources that a lot of people do not have. And so this is where, putting things where they're easily accessed, meaning people where they're at, allows people like teens or children that realistically usually have no say and no control over their environment. It gives them access. And I want to be clear, there are a lot of programs that do amazing work. Tammy Leone runs Cape Kids Meals, sends home backpacks with the kids. It's an amazing organization. There are organizations that work to look at all, and Mary volunteers with them too.
Yeah, of course she does.
Because she's all the places.
What would Mary do? All of it.
And she's
All of it.
involved with all these organizations that are near and dear to my heart. It's amazing. I'm like, if I had time, I would also be.
But she does. She just makes time. She's like, I'll get
That's
on
it.
my calendar.
That's why I
I'm gonna
retired, so I could make
that
time to do everything else.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Amazing.
But it is wonderful. And I'm so just even sitting here, it's jogging everyone that's watching's brain. Lisa's like, we should do a food pickup with a play date. Oh, places. Lauren is like, gotta come here. I want to do a Super Bowl. We like all of these things that's why I love Cape Cod so much, because we are such a collaborative community. And yeah, we are island people. We're here to help each other, and we really will dig down and do it if we know what's available. A lot of people and a lot of times we get busy and we don't know what's available. And if it's not in front of us,
Well, and you don't know
we're
what
not
you
involved
don't
in it.
know.
Right.
Like
Right.
you don't know what you don't know. And this goes again for all aspects of life. And this is where, like it really is real. And I mean, if you don't ask, but the problem is if you don't know, you don't even know what to ask.
Right.
That's
So
true.
it's not like somebody's necessarily purposely not asking. They don't know what they don't know.
Mhm.
So we have to do better with making sure we're actually serving the needs. We can't just make people come to us. We can't just, we can't get up on a soapbox and be like, you really should do better. Because then you're an asshole.
We're not having that.
So
it's conversations and listening, as you said.
yeah. And you know what? It's the conversations that blow you away. It's the conversations that happen in our kitchen. It's the conversations that happen in our basement with our basement bombers that like rule our, like, we couldn't do what we do without all of them. They're amazing. By the way, they're the self-named team that runs my walk-ins, the basement bombers. They also sometimes call themselves
I feel like they're my brethren.
Yes,
That's true. Yes. This is the Upper Cape Annex.
That's it.
It's the Upper Cape. The Upper
Come on
Cape
down.
Annex, yeah.
But it is the bridge to Africa that I'm seeing all of these conversations in, because you're going there to see how they use food for fuel.
Correct.
And how they're doing it because they're not wasting it. They're using every piece of it to live because
Correct.
that's all they have. So they're making that as fuel. And we definitely don't do that in our society. You're going to have the conversations with them about family and how that they're doing better.
We're going to honor, there's not always one way to do things. And I think a lot of times we've grown up in this like, oh, well, this is the best way. And I mean, we live in one of the most educated states in the United States. And, it's so often it's like, yeah, more. And sometimes less is more. Like it's amazing when you start learning all of this stuff, when you see how wasteful we are.
It's painful.
It's painful. And, Elisa Magnotta is a good friend of mine. She's the director of Housing Assistance Corporation. And, she went into like doing a year of like kind of no spending, like of not actual, like of reducing buying things.
Right.
And instead,
you guys would have failed for this trip.
Yeah. No, she did an amazing journey as well, an actual journey.
Okay.
So, but that's different than just, I think we've been in we've grown up in this world where you just go spend. You
It's
don't
lackadaisical.
reuse, you don't reuse, you don't save, you don't reduce waste. You don't, a lot of people, it's like thrift stores and stuff like that. With kids, it's like, how many toys do you need?
The newest, the best, the
newest-
greatest is not
And then
necessarily
next
the
week,
way
the
anymore.
newest, the best. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
And we live in a country designed for that. It's so funny. I replaced my phone because I needed to.
Mhm.
And, but I had my phone for 3 years. And the guy was like, well, the plan is 3 years. And I was like, Apple's not going to let me keep this for 3 years. They're going to come out with something tomorrow and make me
100%.
buy it.
Oh, Megan's good. She's like, donate here, add this. She knows how to ask for the things. I appreciate that very much. Good morning, Gail. Hey, T. Hey, Jenny. Danielle, thank you for joining us. Chandra, hello from Florida. And Gail, hello.
Hi, Gail.
So Jeni and Mary are going to Africa tomorrow. I couldn't even make it up. We've been prepping for this journey for quite some time.
We
And now
drew
it's-
Stephanie in.
And now it's
Yep.
happening.
It's happening. It's happening. And really, it's happening for me because of people like Megan and people like Gabby and people like Mary and people like you who have galvanized me in my crazy. Welcome to my crazy.
Well, because it's bettering us as people, all of us,
Well, but
our community.
I feel like the cool thing is if you're going to show up for yourself and you get to show up for others, I mean, there's just nothing better than that for
Right.
me.
Win-win.
It's a win-win. And so for me, this whole thing around the grandmas, and yes, I might be seen panhandling for grandmas.
We accept it.
Mary's 100% prepared to videotape me being like, "Are you a grandma? Are you a grandma? Do you cook? Can I cook with you? Can I come home with you?
Capture
Can
it all
I?"
out.
Mary's the personal reporter also, just
Exactly.
in case you're wondering.
Exactly.
Live from a corner in
She's
Amsterdam.
going to be the one on the beat. And what's your first name? What's your last name?
And will you
Spell
sign
that
this
for the
release?
camera.
Can you spell that?
Will you sign this release?
Can you sign this release, please? Thank you.
Covering all bases. Yes, exactly.
Mary whips out the notebook, and here's a release form, and
Right.
here's a pen, and oh, this is your better side. Can you turn this way?
100%.
Yeah, see, everyone needs a Mary. But truly, it's that whole concept of grandmothers, but it's also just my love of culture and getting back. You know, I've been to 33 countries and I have a significant love of culture. And for me, this is also kind of my first real step back to me.
Mhm.
And it's really, it feels very impactful. And I feel like this could be life-changing. And I don't mean that in a very generic, I don't know how, and I don't know in what way. And Mary and I have had this conversation. And actually, when I was at an event at Lisa's, Sue Moran, I'm going to give her credit. She's a local state
Love her.
senator. She's amazing. But she was at the event and she said to me, you know, she was asking me about the trip and she was like, "I'm so excited for you." And I said, "Yeah, I really feel like I'm just going to show up, you know, and I don't know quite what it's going to be or where it's going to go or whatever, but I'm ready. I'm there for it. I'm going to show up." And she said to me, "You are going to come back more you than you are right now." And I went, "Oh my God, that's totally what I feel like is going to happen." And I had never thought of it in those terms. It's such a weird way to but I'm like, that is exactly what I feel like. And I
back
don't
to
know in what
basics.
ways, but it's like,
And
that
that's
is-
okay not knowing.
yeah,
We're-
totally.
We're opening ourselves up. And I just thought of this. I'm thinking of this now as a listening tour because that's what we're
Yes.
doing. We're listening. We're asking questions. It's not Jenny doing demonstrations for everyone.
No.
It's them showing us their ways, their cultures, their process, their stories, their history, their food, their ingredients, their processes, all of that. So we're just going to be drinking all that and we're listening. It's a listening tour.
It really is. And one of the specific moments that you can look for that I can't wrap my head around what it means to me that we've been given permission to do this. But our first night in Tanzania, we're staying with the Maasai tribe and the elders are making dinner and we've been given permission to film that. And I can't imagine the impact I feel like that's going to have on us. And really, again, it's that listening to it's honoring what we're seeing and what we're learning,
Right.
and really allowing ourselves to be immersed in that culture, in that way of doing things, and learning from that. And again, you know, that's just so special. I mean, I feel like that's a very, very special, that's going to be a special night.
Yep.
And then we wake up to Mount Kilimanjaro, the ceiling of Africa. And that's just
Please don't get eaten by wildlife. That's all I ask.
But
We'll do our best.
You can't even wrap your
Poor
head
Mary's
around
over there,
that.
got her head in the camera. Jenny, look, there's something behind you.
You can't even wrap your head around what the, you know, it's funny because somebody said to me, like, "Has this always been on your mind?" And I was supposed to go to Africa. I was supposed to be part of a team teaching entrepreneurship 12 years ago for Babson as part of,
She's
you know,
wearing her Babson.
I am wearing a little bit of my Babson, like kind of green. So nice. I love it. Go Babson. But I was supposed to go, and I broke my ankle a couple weeks before I was supposed to go, and it was to teach entrepreneurship to high school students and help them come up with ways and solutions that help their neighborhoods and their areas. And I was so bummed out, and everyone said like, "Hey, is this always been on your mind?" And I was like, maybe in the back of my mind, but the reality is Africa is the base of civilization. So for me, it also feels like it's the right place to show up when you're trying to figure out who Just Jenny is. Let's go with that and start at the base of civilization, and let's go through these building blocks together.
I just have Toto in the back of my head, and I can't.
I know.
It out, and it's really bothering me.
That's all I've been
a
thinking
lot.
about. Yeah,
We're
humming
not
to myself.
Not the dog.
No. There's no place like home.
I might get my Kim Marchand on though, and click some red heels together.
Are you bringing some red heels with you? Erica says Jenny's giggles and Steph's laugh, perfect combo. Coming back as you sounds amazing. Megan says, listen, learn, and lift each other up. Rachel from Adequate Acres can do a donation box for a fridge this season. I love it.
Love that.
This is our community, and it is the base and the basis of civilization. And you're going there, and you're going to bring back all of this to us. And we're going to be able to watch this journey unfold on YouTube. Make sure you're looking for the links. I'm going to be posting them pretty much everywhere that you could possibly see them. And we're going to be following your journey, and hopefully we get more followers as we go. We'll be posting them to town pages and reminding people where you are and what you're doing.
Excellent.
And I know everyone at the Family Table Collaborative is going to be watching on bated breath to see what happens. Whether it's you guys in like petting gorillas. I obviously know you're not going to be petting gorillas, but
Like, I don't think they encourage
mentally
that.
The thought of you two in this like rickety Jeep for 8 hours to get there is like, oh my God,
we're either going to come back best friends, which we already kind of are now, or mortal enemies.
God, don't even look at.
I think the former is supposed to be the latter. So
people seriously. So just to be clear, and I'm going to relate this to Cape Cod
African
for a
trauma bond.
Yeah. So everyone, I love doing baby goat yoga. And but I literally spend an hour doing baby goat yoga, trying to come up with ways that I can smuggle out a baby goat. So I'm not 100% sure that like the yoga part is in the foremost of my mind when I'm doing it, but it's very relaxing because I love animals. And so we are going in Kenya. We're going to an elephant orphanage.
Yep, the Sheldrick Wildlife Trust. Yes.
Well, you're going to probably need it after the Maasai tribe feeds you, because I don't know how that's going to look. We
go to the elephant orphanage first.
Okay.
We do.
However, I literally was like, I said to Mary, I was like, if I tell you to leave me there, I'm just saying.
You could do yoga on the elephant as opposed to the other way around.
I cannot imagine how much I'm going to want to stay with the baby elephants.
I know. And there's nothing more family than elephants. I just really love that you're starting your space there. Look at this circle of life here.
Yeah,
exactly. And we're told it's baby season. So hopefully in the wild,
we're supposed to see the littles.
And not just at Sheldrick.
I'm so excited to watch
everywhere
it.
we go,
but also
watching, the prides of lions, and we're open to whatever we see. And I told myself, and I said this to Jenny yesterday, I'm going to make a point, even though I'm doing video and photo, I got to move the camera away. I got to experience it real time for me.
Absolutely.
And not just through the lens, because it's so easy just to do that. I don't need to take a million pictures.
And please have a Lion King moment. Yeah. Hold up one of the baby elephants and do a Lion King for me.
Just for me. Lion Simba.
Well, it's so funny, but this is such like, this is more of like an American thing. I hear all these people going on safaris and stuff. And I actually saw a show the other day, and it was totally poking fun. And they got in the vehicle, and the gentleman said, "We'd like to see the giraffes today." And the guy goes, "Sure, I'll call them right up."
We have an appointment with the giraffes at 11 o'clock.
So when I say we really don't know what's coming, like, it's not like we don't get to script this.
No.
So you might get to see the good, the bad, and the ugly. You might get to see.
I'm really looking forward to that. Just no like malaria or anything like that.
We have our malaria.
We have our pills. We have our meds.
We have all the
precautions.
All
anything.
the things.
Over prepared.
Yep. Where we got all the things, and Mary.
put with Mary too.
It's like backup.
I'm actually going to print those shirts.
Everyone
while you're
needs
away.
an adult nanny.
It's
What would Mary do?
awesome.
Okay, ask Mary.
Follow this journey. You're definitely going to want to, because we talked for an hour and 15 minutes straight and it really didn't
Oh my
even
God.
blink or talk about the news of the day today. So rest in peace, Toby Keith. That was an awful story this morning that we got into. I said that Dartmouth College is making SATs come back to life. Why?
Why? Why? Just why?
And all of the other news that we completely ignored because we'd rather talk about baby elephants and feeding the world. So have a great day, everybody. Make sure you follow
Thanks.
everybody individually.
Thank you,
We're
thank
going to
you,
be
thank you.
sharing this journey with you on YouTube. And I promise you, you will not be able to look away from this.
Please come along
Yes,
with us.
Come on our journey of joy.
I love it. From the Family Table Collaborative, Jeni, Mary, we wish you all a really great Tuesday.
Thank you.
Have a
It's
great
Tuesday,
day, everyone.
right?
Bye.
It's
Okay.
Tuesday.
Bye. Seriously. I can't. Everybody else, Hank is coming up next on the lunchtime show here on Lemonadio. Like, subscribe, and follow us on YouTube. Bye.